you.
So, big round of applause. These people have been nominated for an ACE Eddie for Best Documentary, Non-Theatrical. All right, and well, I'm dying to know how you found this project, came to be a part of this project, and how it all started.
Thank you for coming and moderating, Sabrina, and all of you. And apologies again for my very poorly delivered recap. Well, when Cecilia and I, Cecilia, who executive produced and co-created it with me and directed the show, we made a 4-part series about the NXIVM cult for Stars that came out in November 2020. And we knew from previous projects that it was important to start a website for people to engage and find resources and connect if they're interested in learning more or looking for help. And as soon as the show was out and the website was up, we flooded with emails, messages from people from other high control groups, people trying to figure out if they're in the cults, and a lot of family members trying to extract their loved ones from very dangerous groups. And we started hearing and looking into a lot of different cults and groups. And the one that felt the most urgent was Twin Flames, because they're still active. A lot of people who had just, like Keely, I think, called us within days of leaving Twin Flames. And I think they trusted us because of our previous work, and they were eager to share their stories and find justice and stop Jeff and Shalia. So that was sort of our entry into it. And it took us about 2 years of developing, building relationships, understanding the story, collecting the material, and then we were able to sell it to Netflix and get them to commission the series and bring all these amazing people on board, and some that I'll introduce in a second that are here in the audience as well.
Wow, so 2 years, that's a long commitment.
2 years and another year of production.
Right, and a long lead time. I also want to mention there was another editor who's not here, a New York-based editor,
Mimi Wilcox.
Okay, great. So how did you go about putting together this editorial team?
They were carefully selected. I think we reached out to people we know, and then when if they were busy, they told us other people they know. But I watched all these guys' previous work. Troy I knew, Kevin and Martin I haven't worked with before. Neither did Mimi, but we looked for editors who bring heart and brains, and that are also good writers, that are also good humanitarians, that were good team members to help us. We couldn't just have each editor do an episode like a lot of other series do. It would really have to be people who work together to make this 3-hour film that we tell in 3 parts. And the way we tackled it was like that, and we really built it like that. So it was important that nobody got too precious about their own scenes or their own episode, and we could all work together.
Like, how did you decide who was going to do what, or how did you divide the tasks up? Like, how did you guys each dive in and start? Like,
I mean, some of it was scheduling. So, a person would start before the other person. We staggered it, but I think as I got to know the team and what each was really good at, and some editors are more like left brain, some people are more right brain, and Kevin is a wizard of like tone and graphics, and he kind of set the tone with episode 1. He also cut the main Keely storyline, and then Martin was the last to join us, actually after another editor didn't quite work out, but he led episode 3 into this amazing place, along with Kate, who joined us she's here, joined us for story producing, and Jesse and Avery are also here, helping on the archival front. It was a big team, and we really had to work together, and then Troy joined us at the very end to do some finishing and put the beautiful final touches on the episode.
Yeah, so why don't you each tell me a little bit about what you sunk your teeth into, and then we might get an idea of how it all came together once you each describe your part of it.
You want to start? Okay, cool. I mean, you were first.
All right, yes, I was the first. I went through many trials and interviews. Actually, I think we just talked on the phone and we kind of gelled, and it's all about who you wanted to be in the trenches with when you were cutting the documentary. And it just became like a pretty good family in the Bay. For me, I took on Marley and Keely, and my main goal really was just being honest with her story, making sure that you saw the cracks and you saw her struggling with just reacclimating back into society, more or less. That was my main goal. Aside from, telling the plot of the story was hard enough, but also making sure that you guys all knew the pain that she was going through at the time of just leaving Twin Flames universe. I wanted to make sure that was put most forward throughout the whole entire 3 arc episodes. So yeah, I sunk my teeth into Marley, and specifically also Keely. When we got word that she was going to be that she wanted to tell her story, I mean, that was a whole new ball game, because now you had 2 sisters that were struggling within the group and struggling within each other. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I wanted to make sure that everyone's story was told properly and with honesty and care.
I was fortunate enough to come on last, and so the main threads are set up, the style is set up, and so I get to some extent the dubious honor of finishing it out, which can be easy, can be difficult, but I think the thing that I really tried to bring out of the 3rd episode was really trying to deal with the reconciliation and the damage that was done between the parties, and trying to feel the difficulty of trying to come out of that and trying to work with the relationships, the pre-established relationships, especially between Keely and Marley, and what's left after these kinds of things happen. But they had already set up the tone, they had already set up the style. Mm-hmm. I was able to come in, this huge team is pulling wonderful stuff to work with, and writing wonderful stories. Kate is doing incredible work. I was lucky enough to come in and get to play, really, genuinely. So thank you all. Really.
But it was a mess when you started.
It's never a mess. It's never a mess. It's always great.
Always building the airplane in the air.
That's exactly, fixing the airplane as it's flying.
Yeah, I actually really came in at the very end. Talk about coming in.
Yeah.
I only worked a few weeks at the very end, and I really did mostly just polishing and stuff, but also I think that because I had worked on it for a really long time, every once in a while I would say, can't we just take this from here and move it over here? And they were like, we hadn't even thought of that, because everything, you start watching things so often that me coming in at the last minute, I saw things from a different perspective than everybody else. So I thought that was a little helpful at the very end.
Very.
Yeah, no, it's kind of fun to do that, and because it's so hard to see, through the weeds, and to have the objectivity is a whole new set of eyes. So how large was your staff? How many assistants, and how, did you guys each have an assistant? How did that work?
So we had 2 assistants who are also here, Seb and Langdon. Did Langdon make it?
He didn't.
Oh, he didn't. Okay, so, but Sebastian Enamorado is our lead AE. And he's here. He wouldn't come into the office, even though when we migrated in the office, he stayed remote. So we didn't get to meet him, I think until the premiere. But he was the lead AE, and the production company thought that would be enough, but they soon realized we're going to need more help, and so we had a second AE, dedicated AE, and
with the 5 editors, okay.
well, There were three.
Okay.
There were three, one per
Editing
each
time.
episode, and then Troy helped finishing, and then I helped at the end.
You were there throughout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but officially there were three.
True. Okay. Yes. Off the record,
And then
yes.
it was really a small team of one of the editors, Mimi, is based in New York, and our lead story producer was in New York, and so they were kind of one team, and then we were a team here, and we had, we didn't have a lot of time and money or people, but I think the way I like to hire is to get people young and smart that are eager to get to the next level, and they're eager to learn. And so, they all get the credits they want because they worked really hard. And so Avery and Jesse, who joined us, I sort of threw them into this archival cesspool, and this, sink or swim type of thing. We had more than 1,000 hours.
That's what I was gonna ask, how much footage and how did you organize that footage, or who organized that footage?
So there are about 1,000 hours of these classes, these Twin Flames Ascension School classes. And on top of that were, I want to say, maybe Seb will correct me, about 100 or more YouTube videos that we pulled. And then at the very end, I think less than a month before Peak Lock, is when we got that extra hard drive that had the inner circle meetings, where you see Jeff really having the most criminal, I think, comments and those kind of executive level meetings within Twin Flames universe. And so that came at the very end, and we had to quickly go through that and insert that into the cut.
And when did you do the current interviews first, before you guys stove in? At what
So it
point
all
did
had
that
to happen, Netflix, with all due respect, took a very long time to give us the green light, and so we didn't really have people. And then once we got the green light, we had to shoot right away. And so we started filming, and as we're filming, like you said, building the plane in the air, I work with Seb, and we gotta pull, we're about to film Angie, and I want Angie to watch herself. Sit today and watch herself being indoctrinated, how she was. And so we quickly just go through every time we see Angie, and we didn't have our system sort of totally built in yet, but we just would click through the classes and ask the former members, where is Angie? Which class is she in? Where are the most sort of milestone classes for her, where she goes through things that we can feature? And so we quickly build a reel for Angie's story. And when she's breaking, when she's with the guy, without the guy, her love story and her journey within Twin Flames. And we show her some of those clips, and we see how she reacts to that. And so slowly we get better at that. And not only we show clips to the students, to the former members, we find clips that we show to the experts on location, so they can, on the set, so they can respond in real time. And then we slowly start developing a strategy to conquer this, when we get all those classes transcribed by AI, like AI transcription of everything, and then we start having tools to dig through that mountain of text and look for key terms and moments and word, sort of.
Yeah, that's what I found amazing, because every documentary I'd done before this was sort of like just a do-it-yourself documentary where it was me and assistant or something like that. It was having Jesse and all the other researchers down the hall where I'd be like, I need Jeff saying that he's Jesus. And I'd yell down the hall, and next thing you know, all of these little clips would come up, and then I'd work with you. It's like, which one is he the most obnoxious? Or he's really obnoxious here, but it's the wrong year, and
His hair is too short.
His hair is too short, or whatever, or I need Jesse saying, I need Marley saying what, and then there'd be all of these different clips of them, So it was very helpful having these researchers down the hall for us.
So they're the ones who helped organize and transcribe all the footage, including the interviews then?
Yeah, so with the classes, we knew which were the characters we were tracking through the classes, and we would pull their moments. And then once we got the moms, we would pull the moments for their children, right? The Stephanie, I think that story took a while to come together because we really had to find her arc within that footage. And then the interviews, obviously there's a lot of interviews, and those get reviewed and sort of distilled by our story producers before they go into the edit.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So you guys work remotely, it sounds like, for the most part?
The
I
show
think maybe like
started
the
out
first 2
like
weeks,
that.
yeah, but then once it didn't really come together until we were all together.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah.
having trouble
Yeah.
imagining. Like, there's so much going on and so much to talk about. I can't imagine
Oh yeah,
having
it
to
was,
be on Zoom all day. So being together just seemed like it
was
must
a
have been a
lot
requirement. Yeah.
easier when we started all working together in the space that we had.
It started remote, and then after we begged the production company over and over again, they gave us space in their office in North Hollywood, and then I asked Kevin and Martin to come in whenever they could, and slowly we all transitioned to be in the office more and more. We had great office space, so it was easy. And then whoever was in New York or working from home, we would have these fun conference rooms where you can have them on the big screen, and we all talk together. We had weekly meetings, where we debated, like
Yeah.
really hot, I'd say, debates of this person is appearing to be transphobic, and like how do we want to tackle that and present that, and how do we really treat this sensitively and ethically?
Yeah, I would imagine that would be a tough thing to do. So what was each of your favorite part of the process, or was there something the most rewarding for you that you got out of working on this project?
I enjoyed the characters the most out of anything, I think. Getting into the characters and understanding the characters, not Jeff and Shalia so much, but the interviewees and how trying to transition them and see change within them and really bring that out. Like I got a lot of sort of value out of that. I really enjoyed that and trying to do justice to their stories. Like I got a lot out of that. I was surprised, honestly, how much I sort of engaged with them and how much I enjoyed that part of it.
I totally could understand that it's hard to believe that just regular people can fall for something like this, and that what you guys were able to do is just go through the journey
We
with
kind
them.
of start off in a place of disbelief and you're going, what is, and then
yeah,
by the end
how
of it,
is it possible? And then you
have,
were able
yeah.
to show some of their own internalization of figuring out how they can't even believe they did it themselves.
Well, it's nice that comes through, because it's like, to have it land in that empathetic place is really the goal of the whole thing, and to have it resonate in that kind of way is what gives it its power, right? So it's
Right.
like,
Right.
so I'm glad.
How about you, Troy?
Well, I mean, I was just lucky that I came on so late that I just really enjoyed working on it. I do think that one of my favorite things that I did was sort of figuring out a few of the puzzles at the very end, as far as like, because you see some of these scenes where two people are talking, and the scene is like 2 minutes long. Well, they filmed that for like 2 hours, and it could be so many different conversations, and that was one of the things I did sort of towards the end, was the conversation with at the very end with Angie and stuff. It's like, how do you make it the most emotional, and what do you need and what do you not need? And it really amazed me. It's like I started watching the days. I'm like, this went on forever. For them to even get it to this point must have been really hard. So, I just really enjoyed, honestly, being a part of it, truthfully. I was very lucky.
I guess I can echo both of you. But I think I really enjoyed just making sure that the audience was just enveloped in the online world of it all. Creating that space in episode 1, I guess, was, it just like clicked in me, like what do we need to do to make sure that you understand that this is all online, and that even though it is all online, that people can still be affected by it. So I took a lot of pride in like making that the carry over through all 3 of the episodes. But you're right, yeah, there was a lot of hours in some of these sit-down interviews, and finding those like little moments and just seeing like their emotions on their faces is what I was always like geared towards when I was cutting. So I think that's, I'm glad that you noticed that, yeah, that you saw all that. But yeah, honestly, I really took pride in just creating that online world. And so you're seeing I don't know how many different mediums happening on screen, and connecting that all together into one cohesive thing was tricky. So to finally accomplish that was actually pretty cool. So
I have so many favorite scenes and moments, but for me specifically, from working behind the scenes as an editor, it took me a while to learn to like stay off the edit, and like the pleasure of working with these amazing artists is that I can step into a bay where I didn't make one splice and just watch a show, and it's phenomenal, and it's touching and moving and provocative, and haven't seen anything like this on TV, and I was like, wow, they did that, you know, and then work together to make it even better. So, you know, I think working with these guys and Mimi in New York was the highlight for me, and then torturing them in my weekly meetings I made them all like have an icebreaker question every Tuesday morning, and that was my little torturous cultic mechanism.
Yeah. I have to say that I was quite amazed very early on at the fact that it uses so many different mediums in there seamlessly, that you're going from interviews to YouTube videos to just plain graphics that you would find on their website, and then you'd recreate in one way or the other, or use little parts of in order to explain, what the person was talking about in the interview. And I was impressed at how seamlessly you guys moved all of these different mediums and combined them to tell the story.
should say thanks to Inbel for that one, because her message to me was be bold. So that's what I do.
I'll just say one more favorite quick moment is when we premiered the night before the series went on the air. We were able to host all the participants, or almost all the participants that you see in the show came to LA, and we hosted a screening for them, and the mothers all came with their husbands, and it was just a beautiful event, and they all felt like we told their stories truthfully and respectfully. They didn't feel like we mocked them for having joined this group and for what they did, and they're very motivated to get these people investigated, prosecuted, and in jail, and it's wheels of justice are turning. That's it. That's all I can say. I have the liberty to say it right now, but we're very excited about what this show can have real life impact.
Yeah, to be perfectly clear, it was crazy. They all watched the 3 episodes together for the first time, many of them seeing each other for the first time in years.
Or ever.
Or ever. And it was quite powerful that night.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure that's the reward that you maybe weren't expecting, but that's a wonderful bonus, that it's a worthy, you weren't mocking anybody and making anybody feel bad, because it is something that, in our society, people do look down on people that get sucked in And it's like, how are they not smarter? And you guys didn't make them dumb. It's just something that people were seeking acceptance and just fell into this world. And I think you did a wonderful job at not making anybody look bad or feel bad. So what was there anything that you had to leave on the cutting room floor, probably a lot, that you wish you could have added?
So much. You wanna
A lot of it was Marley's reacclimation to her just doing her, like, the scene where you just see her driving, that's just her working. She's just...
Oh, you mean Keely?
Keely, sorry, yeah, thank you, Keely, yeah. That was just her working. She's just trying, like, that's as close as she can get to people right now. It's just doing, like, Uber work, so that way she's taking things one step at a time.
DoorDash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could almost see a follow-up, like, what are these people doing now?
Yeah.
You know,
We had a
or-
beautiful scene where the two moms whose children transitioned in the group go to Dr. Adair, the transgender expert in the film, and they seek his advice on how to, relate to their kids and how to not alienate them if they choose to come out. Like what happens, I think because the show had to be cut down to its length, I think we don't really get to answer the question, what happens to these members if they wake up? And, it's a difficult, definitely thing to wake up from, but definitely if you had done changes to your personality, your sexuality, your gender identity, that you're no longer sure if they were your own decision or something that was under coercion. And so I think these moms really needed help understanding, relating, because they weren't allowed to be part of this transition. They were cut off, they were estranged. And I loved that scene and how they were able to relate to Dr. Oda and really learn, okay, we first have to accept them for who they are right now in this body, and then everything else will work itself out. Unfortunately, neither of these kids have come out and sort of reconnected with their parents yet, so.
There's still hope, right?
Always
So
hope.
did each of you, chomp your teeth into each episode? You guys like really worked together and watched all the episodes and talked together, and did you each take a stab at certain things just to see if you could find pieces in there that the other couldn't, or?
I think that's the best thing of working in a great team is that, you get your episode to a certain point and then somebody else takes over a certain scene and, they make it better or just a little different, and then you take it back and then you take another pass at it. That's the most fun thing of working as a team. Initially, the three editors and I all took one story arc, one character, and cut it from beginning to end, and then we started intertwining them throughout the episode, and the 3 episodes. And then at some point, just because of scheduling and cuts that constantly have to go out, we'll send episode 1 and then wait for notes, so then Kevin will help with episode 2, and then episode 2 will go, and then Martin, now 3 is behind, and then everybody will help Martin, and we'll just like kind of tag team wherever we needed more help. But by then we all kind of are experts on one storyline, but also kind of team experts.
And was there like a target length you were going for each episode, or in this world we don't, I know broadcast days we had to be to the second.
Yeah,
What
it's
about
whatever it
whatever
lands,
you felt
somewhere
the
between
story
52
needed,
and
yeah.
58. So, but
Yeah.
it's if it's under an hour,
Yeah.
then we're good.
I think each one was almost a feature doc
Yeah.
per episode, and then we had to take out at least 2
Right.
feature docs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they all started around 2 hours each episode, especially the third,
Yeah.
and then we slowly sort of distilled it down.
Well, amazing job, again, nominated for Best Documentary Non-Theatrical. So let's cross our fingers that, the ACETI is coming your way. But any last things you want to add that we didn't touch on this evening before we wrap it up?
I have a question.
Yes, Tata.
I mean, I kind of know a little bit the answer to it, but I would love for everybody to hear it, and maybe you. Why is it so difficult to prosecute a cult in the United States?
Well,
It's a light question.
there's no laws against cults. It's not illegal to run a cult in the United States. There's some laws in other countries. And even on coercion, it's only if it's towards minors and elderly. So, like you saw in the first phone call, whoever saw episode 1, it starts with a phone call to law enforcement, and we basically said, well, are they 18? Then they're doing this out of their free will. And well, coercion is not free will. So it's hard to get the authorities to prosecute, and the way you bring these cults down is usually other crimes. So it's not running the cult, but maybe there's financial crimes, there's tax evasion. I think here there's clearly sex trafficking, so hopefully that will get prosecuted. There's other crimes that they can fall under, but just running a cult is not illegal, not in this country.
How long did it take you from when you started cutting episode 1 to locking the whole thing?
Too fast.
Yeah.
Less, I think. Yes, maybe 6 months. But we get the budgeted time is 14 weeks of edit per episode.
Yeah.
And we end up probably at 16, just going a little over.
With the 2-year prep to get to the point to start it.
Yeah.
That's the.
And then at the end, you run out of time and money, so it kind of helps that the executive producer can cut. And then I get to finish and take the credit.
Anybody else? Sheldon.
Yeah, so if you found this hard drive at the very tail end of the edit and it kind of caused what let's call a major restructure, how many, or could you even count how many other major restructures based on discoveries? Like, when did you take a real turn based on new material?
Yeah, I think when Marley joined, sort of halfway through production, she finally was convinced to participate, so that was a big shift. I think when we added the mom's footage in the beginning, we thought it would be introduced at the top, but then we decided to wait till episode 3 to introduce the whole trans storyline, so that kind of became a restructure as well. Divine Dish, I was like, oh, who cares? Like, but then like that, I think we finally figured out a way to introduce that back in. I don't know, there's like those kind of little shifts happen all the time. It seems like almost every week.
Yep.
Well, we're out of time. Yeah, let's give everybody.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you. Yes.